Welcome to the Home Building Hub, your essential podcast guide to building your new home. Hosted by industry experts Colin Bischoff and Darren Brennan, this conversational podcast will help better educate you about all things new home building so you can avoid costly mistakes and enjoy your building experience to the fullest, no matter which home builder you choose.
Hey there, folks, and welcome to the Home Building Hub. You're with Colin and co-host Darren Brennan, as always. And today we're going to talk a little bit about, Darren, the top 3 electrical plan errors that we sort of see clients come across and don't realise until it's too late when they're walking into their beautiful new home and then they go, oh, bugger, I wish I had put a PowerPoint there, or I wish I had done this. So it'll be a pretty short and sharp episode, but I think quite valuable for anyone who is at that point where they're looking at their plans. This is to help you with the top 3 things that we can share that, make all the difference at the end to make sure you don't miss anything. So good morning, Darren. How are we? We're on a Sunday today, aren't we?
Yeah, mate. It's a bit of a change up, usually a Saturday morning, but we've still got the grey hoodies on. I think we've gone for a grey hoodie event again, mate. It seems like a common event at the moment, so anyone watching in will probably pick up on that. But it is definitely a Sunday morning, different to the last one, and a bit of an early start as always, mate. But I guess I think it's a really, really relevant topic, Cole. I know in the houses that I built previously, you can just get some little stuff wrong, and you look back and you go, could have moved that. Wouldn't have cost me anything. Didn't think of that. It potentially didn't cost me anything. If it's just moving a light switch from one side of a room to another because that's more where you're going to use it, etc. Such a simple little thing to do, and you miss out on it, and then you regret it later. So it's worth really identifying those things as you go. But Cole, we have a fee for the podcast, and we like to address that every week. But I guess we'd really love it if you guys could give us the thumbs up, number one, on any of the platforms that allow you to do so. Leave a 5-star review if you can, and it's a really quick and easy thing to do, and it certainly does help in giving us a better scoring and getting us in front of more eyeballs and hopefully helping more people along their building journey. So we really appreciate you doing that if you do get an opportunity.
Yep, we'd be very grateful. Thank you.
Mate, let's rip in, eh?
Let's do it. Okay, so we're going to do the top 3 electrical things to look out for. So I'll begin with number 1. So the number 1 electrical error that I see people make is combined is the number of and the positioning of GPOs, which otherwise known as PowerPoints. Okay, so our tips for you is when you get your set of electrical drawings, or if you're buying a standard plan from a builder, they should actually have a standard electrical plan available for you to look at up front. Now, there might be a promotion or a pack or something that's a bolt-on in terms of downlights or things like that. So just keep that in mind. But when we're talking about the PowerPoints, what you want to do is you want to check, do you have enough PowerPoints? Do you want only one? So it depends on the builder, right? So some builders down in the bedroom, they'll have 1 PowerPoint. Some will do 2, some will do 3. So you want to check and cross-reference. And we're not talking breaking the bank here. So now is the time, like at drawing time, quote time, that's when you want to flag these things. And some builders, you'll be going through an electrical appointment as well. So it all does vary a bit. But what you want to do is just take a few notes here. How many PowerPoints do I want and where do I want them is most important. So living areas, do you have enough to accommodate where you're going to plug in the TV? Bedrooms, same again. Are you going to have for the bedside tables lamps, and then opposite that, will there be a TV or something that you need a PowerPoint for? So it's something to consider. Kitchen, another one there, Darren, that's pretty common, I think, is do you need one on the left, one on the right of the kitchen bench? And what about the island bench? Some people put an additional one on the sides or around the corner of an island bench. We got those here actually. It comes in quite handy to pop the toaster on or whatever it may be and just plug it into the island, create that extra space. Some sneaky ones that I think really, again, won't break the bank. Put one in the walk-in pantry. That's quite helpful sometimes if you've got something that needs to be plugged in and charged. But also broom cupboard, linen cupboard, things like that. So the broom cupboard's a popular one these days because we hang our vacuums and plug them in on charge as it goes through. So that's one. And then I think the last point to this one, Darren, is check the height of PowerPoints.
think the other one, Cole, that some people do get caught out on is some builders only provide single power points, not double power points as well. So just be asking those questions, right? And that's your job as the home owner to ask those type of questions to ensure that you're not caught, short on that stuff. So um, number two would be check the location of switches, so your light switches. So, make sure that they're in practical locations, not impractical locations. So, again, depending on where you're going to have your window furnishings, could impact that also. So those sort of things behind doors is a spot that often people get caught out on. They end up in the wrong spot. They put a door onto the plan and then forget to move the light switch. Separating areas like kitchen and the meals area. You might have even lights over a bench top in your kitchen and then just have a normal light in the middle of the room. So having two different switches for those can be really important. And again, that just gives you that ability to have ambient light. I love things like over the top of your vanities, putting a down light, for example, and then having a switch that can turn that on. That's right there, essentially where the PowerPoint is. So they can put a switch on the PowerPoint. Can be a really cool one. Adding two-way switches where they're practical, and again, getting that stuff right means, it just makes your house more user-friendly, I guess. And the other one with those is, in some of those areas, such as your pantry, if you've got a walk-in pantry or a walk-in linen, you might even consider putting a sensor light on. So it's always on, but it just turns on when you walk in and you close the door and it turns off. And it's fantastic. So, some of those things can make things really practical and really user-friendly. We're blessed in the house I live in. The previous owners actually did a whole lot of that. And so I have a sensor light in my pantry, and that's why I've suggested that, because I know for us, it's just one of those good ones that you walk in and the light's on. You're like, wow, cool, walk out, lights off. So, some of those little bits and pieces you pick up on, I wouldn't have ever thought to do until you see it. So, and again, hopefully that's what we're able to provide here.
I mean, just look where the switches are grouped. Two-way is very important, because it's always down, like when you walk in the front door, you want to switch the hallway light on. But when you walk towards the kitchen, which is another, 5-10 meters ahead of you, you want to have another switch there to turn it back off again, things like that. I think people forget the back corridor, sometimes. So, don't just make the assumption that it's all going to be standard and practical to the way you want it, because we're all different. So, nice one, Daz. And I think the downlight comment leads to the third tip for us. So the third error I see people make is probably one of the biggest, is the location of downlights, and the external lighting as well sort of falls into that category. I believe that the number of is something to check, and as a result of that, the location. So some builders will provide downlights as standard through the whole house, except maybe the garage. But most don't do that. Most will provide potentially a promotional pack with 20 downlights, whatever it may be, through the main areas. But the bedrooms might be the traditional old school batten lights, right? So you just want to triple check that. Okay, what am I getting first and foremost, and what do I want to add on top? It won't, again, be a huge cost. It'll be like a little bit depending on the builder, but I think it's good to get this done up front, Darren, because you don't want to send a trade back out once you've moved in. It's not a big job, but it's a little, just a pain in the butt, isn't it, to have to do that?
Yeah, and sometimes it's weighing up between,
flagged it. Yeah.
Oh, I've got a budget to stick to, so highlight those rooms that are important. Does it really matter if you've got a batten fixed light with a shade on it in a laundry? Probably not. So you don't necessarily need downlights in there. So you can, weigh up between what's best going to suit you and what's going to suit your budget. And again, you can get some nice lampshades. You can get off to Bunnings or one of the lighting stores and do that. And then use some of those downlights in another room where you might want it a little bit brighter, so you can group some of those together and get it to be, and again, certain areas, dining room, kitchen, you generally want them to be brighter, using knives and forks and that sort of stuff. Whereas even over an area where you might be watching telly, it doesn't need to be quite as bright. So you get away with having less downlights, for example. So just weighing up what that looks like for you.
Yep. And it does connect to the previous one of the placement of switches in terms of your downlights, So you want to make sure that if you've got a group of 2 or group of 4 above the family, that should be one switch, and connecting all that properly. So you don't have to turn on too many downlights with every switch
Absolutely.
as well, because it'll just cost you too much money. So that's part A of the location, and also part B would be the external lights. So a lot of people like to put feature lights on a facade just because it looks good, but I'm probably not talking so much about that. I'm more talking about the practicality of potentially external lights on the side of the house, outside of a laundry, or on the back of a house if you've got people coming over and you want to light up not just the alfresco if you've got one, but the backyard. So thinking about the placement of those. Are they single? Are they double lights? Are they censored? Are they not censored? So get those questions answered. Make sure you've got the ones that you are looking for. And then look, when you move into your house, it's just going to be so much better to know that you've thought about it, you've got everything covered. So because I just see people make that mistake, and including data points is probably a bit of a bonus one, Darren. Make sure you've got enough data points in there. If you know you're going to need those and use those, and you're plugging an Ethernet cable straight in.
Yeah, I reckon also in the lighting
number
point,
3.
Cole, you can do some really nice feature lighting. So again, some builders will offer them, some won't. So if your builder offers it, have a look, because you might drop a couple of pendants. You can do them next to the bed. You see them a lot of the time in display homes. They look really good. They might not be all that expensive. Again, though, you might choose you want to do that, but you want to pick your own. The builder doesn't quite have a choice of what you're after. And you may need to get an electrician in to fit them off, but you don't want them drilling holes in your walls, dragging wires through. So you can put a couple of batten lights there, have them ready to be replaced. And away you go. Likewise with some of the outdoor lighting or future stuff. You might be like, well, I'm going to do something in the future. Maybe I put a capped point there that allows me to upgrade that. And the other one I absolutely love is, and I wish I had eaves. My house doesn't have eaves. But if I did have eaves on my house, I'd have downlights in the eaves outside, because they are so cool. Like when you actually light the house up that way, it gives a really cool light. So, I've got to say, I did talk my mum into doing that on her place, and it just looks sharp, really sharp. So one to pick up. And we had Dean on many episodes ago, a friend who jumped on, who's built a few times, and I watched him do it on his place. So that's where I got the idea from. So you pick these things up off others along the way, and it can look really, really good, make your house look like one of the nicest houses in the street with just some really simple little moves. So I think it's really important. I guess coming back to it, Cole, at some stage, I'd love to jump on and we'll have a chat about all electric homes too, because there's a lot of regulatory changes happening right now, and gas being taken out of the mix in a lot of cases. So we'll come back and do an episode on all electric homes, and hopefully advise you guys really well on that as well. So,
but for now, the tip would be ask the question. Yep. Do I need to be all electric, or if I want to be all electric, what impact does that have? So we will cover it off on another episode, but just thought we'd give you a little bit of a tip on that one as well. So awesome. Well, Daz, that's a pretty short, sharp, simple episode for people. I hope that provides you guys with 3 or 4 points of really good value. So when you're at that point looking at a plan and standard drawings, you see the electrical plan. When you're at that point looking at your design and your drawings, you really want to tick these boxes. Okay, so thanks again for watching. Thanks again for listening. If you guys have any questions, any topic ideas, please jump on homebuildinghub.com.au. Leave us a comment, leave us a question, topic idea. That'd be fantastic. Receiving a little bit of that at the moment, Darren, so it's really good, and we get back to everyone and just reach out. So Thanks again. Thanks for listening to the Home Building Hub. As part of the podcast, we have to be a little careful to cover ourselves on a legal standpoint, so we do have a disclaimer. Whilst we're all about providing value to you, this podcast should not be considered legal or financial advice. It does contain general information only, and you should seek out independent professional advice on your own personal situation before you make any legal or financial decisions.
1